So Hillary Clinton sat down for an interview with Ezra Klein of Vox recently. We just discussed one portion of that interview. But in a different part, he brought up the issue of money in politics. Wow, that's actually surprising. Vox leaned in a pro-Hillary direction, and they weren't too hot on Bernie Sanders, so it's surprising that they bring up a substantive issue like that. But her answer is just 100% unfiltered, classic Hillary Clinton. And it shows, I think, probably the main reason why she lost to Trump. So, look at this. This is what Hillary says. I tell people all the time, if you're in a high income tax bracket, I want to tax you. If you still want to give me money, you are going in with your eyes open. I think it's theoretically an interesting conversation, but you look at somebody like President Obama, who took a lot of money from a lot of different interests, but it didn't affect how he governed. Oh, please. And so let's get to the second level here. Then Ezra interjects and says, I do think that's strong, though, to say that it didn't affect how he governed. A lot of people feel he could have done more to punish bankers. On healthcare, there were deals cut before the fact with the pharmaceutical industry, with the insurance industry. And there is evidence that these kinds of donations do give these interests more of a voice than it does affect things, certainly in the details. So he's saying, no, money in politics does affect these politicians. Even Obama, there's countless examples of it affecting Obama. You know, Medicare still can't negotiate for drug prices. Obama continued that. The deal was cut under Bush. Obama continued it. He could have said, no, we're going to negotiate with the pharmaceutical companies for better drug prices. He didn't do it. Why? Money in politics. The giant bailout of Wall Street. You know, that didn't come with new Glass-Steagall regulations. They just bailed him out, no strings attached. Of course that's a product of money in politics and him taking Wall Street money. Duh. But Hillary acts like, no, Obama wasn't affected by that money at all. Oh my goodness. She thinks you're stupid. That's what she thinks. She thinks you're going to buy that. He just gave a speech. The first time he was in the news after he left the presidency was what? Him getting paid a tremendous amount of money for a Wall Street speech. Don't tell me that money doesn't affect him. It affects everybody because it's fucking human nature. So first she says the money doesn't affect him. Then Ezra Klein goes, actually, yes, it does. And then here's her response. Well, but, you know, it's always been thus. I mean, if you've seen the musical Hamilton, you know, if you're running a raucous or, yeah, whatever. And then it stops. She's a parody of a corporatist and a neoliberal. Money didn't affect Obama. Money doesn't affect politics. By the way, unless she's talking about Republicans. In which case she goes, oh, they're taking money from big oil and then they do the bidding of big oil and they don't believe in climate change. She made that point during the debates. She goes, oh, am I supposed to believe that the Republicans aren't affected by the ExxonMobil money that they get every year? They are affected by it, of course. But that's the same reason why you're affected by the Wall Street money, dingus. She's unbelievable. She doesn't care that she contradicts herself and makes terrible points. She thinks like, no, I'm going to override this and I'm going to make you believe what I'm saying. No, nobody believes it, which is why you fucking lost. But that's amazing how she goes from, the money didn't affect Obama. The money doesn't affect politicians. And then Ezra Klein is like, yeah, it does. Here's a few examples. She's like, yeah, it's always been like that. Which is it, Hillary? You unserious clown. Which is it? The money doesn't affect it. Sure it does, but it's always been like that. So let's be clear. The first one was a lie. Maybe it's the thing that she tells herself at night so she can sleep better, but really it's a lie when it comes down to it. That's what that is. It's a lie. Money doesn't affect us. The reality is the second point where she said, yeah, it's always been like that. That's how she really thinks. And this is why, you know, Bernie Sanders is the most liked politician in America right now, and she's one of the most disliked politicians in America. This is why. Because Bernie Sanders dares to question the fundamental underpinnings of the system. In other words, he's the kind of person who looks at the system as it currently exists and says, no, we could do things radically different than we do it now. We could do it radically different. We can get the money out of the political system. We can have universal health care. Hillary famously said during the campaign, single payer will never happen. Well, Bernie says, no, if we want to create a better society, we have to dare to try to push the limits of what's possible and get to the point where we do what every other modern nation does. So Bernie dared to question the fundamental underpinnings of our society and all the fucked up problems. Whereas what did Hillary do? She conveniently bakes into the cake the worst aspects of our society and then argues, hey, we could tweak around the edges for certain things. That's incrementalism. That's corporatism. That's, hey, look, that's just the way the system works, man. What do you want me to say? I have to raise a tremendous amount of money from Wall Street. What do you want me to say? I have to raise money from private health insurance companies. That's just par for the course. We're never going to have a single-payer system. It's just par for the course, man. What do you want me to do? Maybe I'll tweak around the edges and, make it so that we cover a couple million more people through one avenue or another, but I'm not going to, cover everybody. You think I'm going to do universal coverage and it's going to cost less and you're going to get better outcomes? No, we can't do that. Don't be crazy. You think I'm going to not have Wall Street bankers at the table when I'm crafting economic policy? It's just par for the course, man. That's just the way the system works. That's one of the most cancerous ideas and backwards philosophies you could possibly have in politics. It's like, that's just the way it is. What do you want me to do? Well, yeah, in 1917, what do you mean women can't vote? That's just the way it is. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? Sure, maybe if we were starting from scratch, that's another one they love to make, another point they love to make. If we were starting from scratch, maybe we do single-payer Medicare for all, but we're not, so we can't. If we're starting from scratch, maybe we'd get women the right to vote, but come on, they don't have the right to vote. What are we going to do? If we're starting from scratch, maybe we'd make the South stop fucking official segregation, but what do you want me to do? Separate but equal. What do you mean? Hey, they're saying they're equal, right? So what are we going to do? We can't question the fundamental underpinnings. It'll never happen. Whereas a guy like Bernie says, and the progressive base says, hey, fuck you and what you tell me is and isn't possible. We're going to fight for the right things. We're not going to concede to this monstrosity of a system that's rotting from within. But Hillary says, well, it's always been thus. That's Hillary 101. Money doesn't affect politics. Actually, yes, it does. Here's a few examples. It's always been this way. The only candidate who would have lost to Trump. Now you see exactly why.